very dark time in the history of our country. We have good people that are afraid to send their children to school, fearful that government agents will come and knock on their doors. They're stopping cars randomly in other cities, not this city, randomly, and asking people to prove that they're citizens. I've never heard anything like this. But I'm going to tell you something right now. The worst thing that can happen is for us to be divided, because that's exactly one of the outcomes of these types of behaviors from the government. In this city, there are more black and brown people working now than ever before in the history of Inglewood. More people have generational wealth to pass down to their children than was ever dreamed possible. But every time that an election season comes around, I'm gonna tell you, it's predictable. You have a new publication that comes around, and they want to make their bones, and this is a really dicey issue to try and create division about. And I'm going to be direct. There was a journalist named Isaiah from a new online paper. He interviewed me for over 30 minutes a few weeks ago. 3 minutes of the interview was about immigration enforcement. He asked me about an alleged ICE detention of a contractor on Prairie that allegedly was working on a city project. I told him, he asked me what I thought of the incident. I told him I had no opinion about an incident I had no knowledge of. He then wrote an article about that 3 to 5 minutes and nothing about the other topics, which were extremely positive. What people that approached me took was that the slant was I did not care. He then did a podcast editorial that was on the same vein. So let me be very clear. My position is that we're all descendants of immigrants, all of us. There were immigrants that colonized the first colonies in America. So we're all immigrants. Immigrants built this country in search of opportunity. And what is being done to hardworking Americans is horrible. I've stood with demonstrators as far back as last spring. I've given my own personal money, thousands, to families where the breadwinner was fearful to go to work so that families could support their children during the holidays. But this is an election year. An election year, it just works out that the mayor is now responsible for things that you really don't control. Last election, it was school closures. And now it's ICE. We don't run the schools. I don't, and we don't run ICE and border protection. And as Councilman Padilla and Councilman Morales said, they do not discuss their operation plans with us before or after they come here. What I say and do has to be thoughtful and calculated to give the best outcome for our city. Picking a fight when we have largely been spared the devastating deployments that have occurred in Minneapolis and Chicago is not wise. It is actually counterproductive for the people most affected by these immigration and detention surges. You elect people to be smart and behave in a manner that produces the best outcomes. I will continue to work with our elected representatives and Congress people to protect the citizens of Inglewood. And I'm gonna say again, it's easy to shoot your mouth off and try and impress people. It takes more knowledge and savvy to know when you've said enough. And with that, we're adjourned.